What's going on, everybody? This is Phil Wright, and you are listening to Phil Wright and Friends podcast, where we have positive conversations about life. Look, welcome to part 2 of the interview with the legendary, the award-winning Cedric Thompson. In part 1, he was telling us about his humble beginnings in Anderson, South Carolina, going to college, working with Pastor John P. Key, Donald Lawrence, and working with some amazing people. Part 2 is going to be phenomenal as well. Look, you don't want to miss this. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're looking for us on social media, make sure you're following us at Phil Wright Podcast. You can follow my personal page at P Wright Music and also my food page, Phil Mill. If you like live music and you're in the upstate of South Carolina, you can also follow Cafe Joel Music. For questions and show ideas, you can email us at philwrightpodcast@gmail.com. That's right. Hey, I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Look, part 2 is going to be amazing. Let's jump into it with Cedric Thompson.
Right.
You actually got a chance to meet him, right?
I did. And if we have time, I'll tell you.
I remember you can tell the story. I remember.
Yeah. This particular year we were, where was I think it was DC. We were at the GMWA. Mm-hmm. And in June, one of her musical mentors was Darryl Coley. And of course, mine was Thomas Whitfield. So we were at the GMWA and we kept pranking each other because she would be like Cedric. There goes Thomas Whitfield, and it wouldn't be him. Mm-hmm. So I would do likewise, but June. There's Darryl Coley, and it wouldn't be him, So we kept doing it, and then after a while, June was like, "Cedric, there's Thomas Whitfield," and I was like, "June, stop!" And she was like, "No, there's Thomas Whitfield," and I was like, "June, okay, we done got each other." Yeah. She said, "No, I'm serious. Look." So I remember I turned to my right. And I saw this big figure with this big black cape on.
He had a cape?
Because he used to wear what they call the maestro's cape. Literally. The June can attest to this. That was the only time meeting someone I was froze. I was frozen, man. And I literally couldn't say anything. So when people say that they met their idol or whatnot and they didn't have words, I know exactly what they mean because I didn't have words. So June had to speak for me. Wow. And so she said, this is my husband, Cedric Thompson. He idolizes your music, blah, 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 blah. So he spoke to me. And since then, we had several conversations, over the phone. And I remember I was rehearsing. And as a matter of fact, I have to make a correction because I said the Promise record was like 96 or so. It was earlier than that. It was like 93 or so. Mm-hmm. I was in rehearsal with the Promise and we had, the church that I was at, they had actually set up Thomas Whitfield and I, the church was giving me a appreciation service. And Thomas Whitfield was going to be the special guest. And we were going to do this arrangement of, just in case, you forget. And, so it was going to be a piano head to head. And, so, we had worked out, how we were going to do it in the whole nine. It was set. I remember I was in rehearsal with the Promise, and back in that day is when we had those big 2-ways.
Yeah,
and so mine kept blowing up. I could feel it vibrating, and then it got to a point. I said, "Well, let me just see what this is about." So I looked at the messages. And saw a message, Thomas just passed away. Man, I was broke.
Man,
I was broke. So, but yeah, so Thomas Whitfield and Oscar Peterson, in terms of piano wise, they were my inspirations.
I mean, yeah, because you listen to even songs like Wrapped Up, Tied Up, Tangled Up, the chord. He was ahead of his time, man.
Way ahead
of choices. Them gospel chop chords that guys still ain't figured out.
You took the words out of our mouth, because I was going to say, even to this day, people are still trying to figure out, those progressions and whatnot. But yes, he was much years ahead of his time.
But I know one record that I gotta say also that changed the shape of music was Finally Karen.
Oh man, we had a ball doing that record. We had a great time doing that record.
Finally Karen, man. That record right there. And it was such a groove. I mean, man, the beginning with everybody, it's like the whole church is just going like this. I was like, God.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like I said, man, we had a great time doing that record. And that record was probably that record was really, the recording of that night was, I was going to say near, but it was basically flawless. Cause you know how sometimes, you
go back in.
Yeah. Go back in. That wasn't the case with that. The only thing they had to go back in and do were, stacking, but that record was basically flawless, and I mean, outside of, adding, overdubs and whatnot, that was, we had a great time. And I'll tell you, a lot of people ask me about a particular moment on that particular record, where, Karen went into, she started improvising. This wasn't rehearsed, but she went in. It was at the end of one of the songs, and she just started ministering, and she went into this song, "Let It Mend Today." I can't remember the rest of the lyrics, and I remember Donald looking at me, and his eyes kind of got big because he was like,
"What you gonna do?
What you gonna do?" Thankfully, I knew it because of my upbringing back home at Welfare. We used to sing that particular song. But Karen just went off the cuff and started singing, and I was like, whoo! Thank God I knew it, man, but that was a moment.
That's crazy, man. Like, to yourself, in your mind, did you say to yourself, like, some of these songs are Twinkie Clark's, I gotta reproduce?
I was nervous, because number one, just like you said, because they were Twinkie songs, and those songs, I mean, they were classics as they were, so
you did them justice.
Oh man, I appreciate it. And, Donald, even with the help of Donald, with his guidance and whatnot, just with the vision that he had for it, added more pressure on top of that. Wow. So it was the pressure of, number one, making sure that, I was carrying forth or bringing forth the vision that Donald had for the songs and for the album, and the pressure of these being Twinkie songs, right. The pressure of the artist being the sister of Twinkie, that being Karen, and the girl singing as well, it was pressure.
You were a huge Clark Sisters fan.
Clark Sisters fan. Then not only that, the pressure of it being in Detroit, even where they from. So they looking at us.
Yeah. Because people, some people they're thinking, I should have been playing this record.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. But like I said, man, we had a great time doing that record, and I didn't know, that those songs would do or have the impact that it did, but I don't even really, when I go into my productions, I don't even go into my productions having that mindset, that this is going to be a hit.
right.
doing a hit. I go in and, trying to produce or arrange, the best production that I can, and make the best presentation that I can, but first, that starts with a good song first.
Yeah. The thing that I tell you, as a kid watching the Finally Karen record, when I heard Pure Gold, I think was you just playing with one hand on Pure Gold, or like majority of
the majority of it, because I was doing the pitch bend basically throughout the whole song. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I was like, this is crazy. Yeah, man. That record definitely played a part in the sound. I mean, it was just amazing and a phenomenal record. And then an element of it felt like home because you had Tri-City back there too.
Yeah. And,
it was just an amazing record. So coming off of Finally Karen, I mean, cause that record did numbers, man. That record.
Yeah.
I mean, because not only that, this was her first time officially stepping away from the sisters. And most people don't have a first stint out that's really killing like that.
Yep. So
yeah, that's crazy.
And then plus, I think also what made such a good marriage of that particular record as well was also J Moss involvement of the record as well. That's I think the chemistry of what he did and what we did on the record, was a great marriage for that particular record.
So what exactly did he do on that record?
So it was a few studio songs on there that he actually did on that particular record. So, because there was a live version and then you got the studio version,
right? And
J Moss did, I think, most of the studio, and Stanley also did, I think, one or two cuts. Studio wise. So like I said, that was a great chemistry.
Well, that was probably one of his first. Well, I don't know if it was officially his first, but that was one of his first major joints.
It was, yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. So in the 90s, you're getting ready to do a record, or you get ready to go on a tour, and late 90s, who are you calling? Like, this right here is my crew.
In the 90s, my call was Calvin Napper on drums, and I had two calls on bass. It was either Mel Gray or Maurice Fitzgerald. Yep. Either Reggie Graves or Rick Walford. Well, it was three: either Reggie Graves, Rick Walford, or Joey Wolford on guitar.
Okay.
And either Danny Weatherspoon or 90s. Who's the other guy? It would probably have been Danny, and later on, this guy Ira Noyes. So between those two, organ wise, because Ira, I used to call Ira a sneaky Danny as well.
Yeah.
He colored like Danny.
Wow.
So those are my go-tos then. Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah. And I think coming off of Finally Karen, what would you say would be your next? Was it Twinkie or what came after Finally Karen?
So after Finally Karen, I think it was Twinkie. I can't remember. So I can't remember the order actually, because there was I remember Donna and I did two songs with Twinkie on her Masterpiece project and co-wrote May the Lord God Bless You Real Good. And
hold on. You can't slide by that, because I remember that one too, man. Look, my family had a book and music business. We used to go to like Black Expos and sell. And I remember Central South sent us May the Lord God Bless You Real Good.
Yeah.
And that thing was burning up the charts. I mean, they sent a heavy promo behind that. And yeah, May the Lord God. Yeah. Oh yeah. That was great.
Yep. And a song called Awesome. that was on that project. Now that I think about it, I think that was before Finally Karen. And then
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yep. And then, so after that was when I got the call to do Twinkies, live record, of the one that we did live in Charlotte.
Yeah, that was amazing as well. Y'all had on them shirts. I remember them shirts.
Man, let me tell you. And I got set up with them shirts, man, because, we had actually, so I'm not going to name the name,
okay.
but a guy, you know, at the time he was selling clothing, apparel and whatnot. So, he had these shirts. They were black shirts though, you know, but they had these buttons, that I love. And I was like, you know, that'll be a good look for us to do on Twinkies recording. So, I got the sizes from the guys and I gave them over to my man and, he was like, all right, I have it straight. It was the day of, we had got out of sound check and he called and told me, he said, hey, we don't have all the shirts. I was like, he said, don't worry. I got you straight. So it was probably about 30 minutes, an hour or so. We were still waiting on the shirt to get to us, you know, and like I said, it was about 30 minutes or so, an hour before it was time for us to go on. Man, he came in there with them shirts. I was like, dude, what is this? So he got us. But to this day, we still get clowned about those shirts.
Man, it's just, I remember you telling me the story about it, but I didn't really think about it till after you said it, man. That was crazy. Oh, man. Yeah, that was crazy. Other thing, man, most people can't say this, but you had the opportunity to work with America's pastor.
Oh, right, man.
Bishop T.D. Jakes. You worked on a few records or played on a few records?
I did. So the first one that I played on was actually the first two that I played on. Kevin Bond was at the seat of a producer. He was at the producer's seat. Was Wanna Thou Art Loose and Storm Is Over, which was the Palace House record.
Wow.
And then so the next two that I worked on was Sacred Love Songs.
Oh, I remember that one he was talking. Yes,
yeah.
I was walking down.
Right. And she slide. Yeah. I worked on that one. And then the next one that I produced, I think it was their last record, the Kenya record.
Wow. So you actually went to Kenya to record that record?
We did. We went to Kenya, and we came back and did some other pieces at the Potter's House as well. But the original version of that record was done live in Kenya.
Wow. So as you transition as a sought after producer, man, I remember one conversation we were having, and you were saying that sometimes you got to know that some projects may not be for you. Mm-hmm. And because I know probably you get a lot of calls during this time, because when you're hot, everybody's saying, I want you to produce me. How did you know when a project, wasn't really for you at that moment?
Well, first I have to say that it took me a minute to mature to that. Because I took on some projects, that were not necessarily a good marriage. With that, some projects, I turned down more so because I felt like that the marriage, how can I say this? That the marriage for that particular artist was already in effect, with the producer that they have been working with.
Right.
So sometimes, I know artists want to go for a different sound, but sometimes I think they should work that out with the producer that they have great results with. That's not to say that you don't work with other people.
Right.
But in that, just whether or not, if we have chemistry with each other, I try to see if we can get that established, and if that feels a little off, then, it's not, I know that this is going to be something that's forced, and it's
right.
not going to be a marriage. Then plus, if we don't have, I'll try to have them, if they don't have songs, before I commit, to listen at the material in the whole nine. And if they are pretty much, sticking to their guns as it relates to this is what we have to do. And if I feel like, I'm not going to be able to take, these particular songs, any further either, because of any particular reason. One may be, I may feel like, that these are not good songs, or the whole nine. And if they're not open to hearing other songs of the whole nine, then, those are just, signs that, I see, this is something I shouldn't step into.
Wow. That's amazing. Now, as I look over your shoulder there, I see old Grammy.
Yeah. Oh, Mother Louise up there getting dust.
Yeah. So talk about the Grammy Award. I mean, that's the highest honor, in
man.
music.
So that one is for, I had gotten a call from, EMI. Mm-hmm. At the time they were EMI. It's, Motown gospel. But, this management company, Vector Management, had a array of A-list artists that weren't they were not necessarily gospel artists. Mm-hmm. And so they had this idea that they wanted to have some of their artists do a gospel song. And so, along with some of their artists, some other featured artists as well. So, I had gotten the call, to, produce this particular project, and, which that project is the, Oh Happy Day project. And, on that project, just name a few artists was, Queen Latifah, Michael McDonald, Patty Griffin, what's her name? Maybe Staples, just name a few, Heather Headley. And, so that's the, project that, won the Grammy.
Wow.
And I was in, most of the time, I know how to, decipher, being a fan and being a producer, but I was in fan mode on that record.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. Michael McDonald,
yeah, I'm telling you, man.
But his songwriting, man. I mean, he to me one of the top 10 most innovative songwriters and singers of our time. Yeah,
and I'm sitting there, just like you said, that Fred them, was telling Jolie Gunn, how can I produce you? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the way I felt in a lot of those sessions, and like you said, especially with Michael McDonald, but I mean, they were very easy to work with, and leaned on, the instructions and the whole nine. So, they made it easy.
Wow. It's crazy. The current state of music, the music industry is changing now. Mm-hmm. Everything is going to streams. And so it's like doing music, there was a time when doing music was very lucrative. Like everybody just, if you get a placement, you good. Not to say that it's not now. What advice would you give somebody who's thinking, hey, I play a little bit, I want to, venture into producing? What advice would you give them?
Well, as it relates to, it being successful, and I guess we would have to define on what do you look at as being successful. Is it if you're after just garnishing hits, or the whole nine, then that's one avenue as well. But one, I definitely would suggest and recommend that you have control of publishing, and then even with that, don't necessarily just depend on the music side of it, if you can. And I've been having this conversation with a lot of writers and producers as of late. Try to get into the music sync licensing side of it.
I'm glad you said that. I got a conversation to have with you after this about that. That's crazy.
Yeah. And in this day and time, that's really where it is. Because like you said, with us being in this the climate of streaming, unless you have a certain tier, of numbers and the whole nine, not really making any money.
Right.
Off of the stream. So if you can find other ways, to exploit your music and via one way, like I said, getting into sync licensing, I think that's a great move.
Yeah, for sure. Your legacy, musically, you have an amazing legacy. And, I always tell people your purpose should service a need. And when your purpose services a need, that's your contribution to humanity, to the world. And
that's good.
When it services a need, you build legacy, and legacy outlives you. Clearly, the fruit that you bear. I mean, of course, Lejeune is phenomenal. Then you have your son, CJ, great friend of mine as well. Great producer and everything, and he's not typical. You know what I'm saying? He's not.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? There's definitely something different there. And,
it is.
He thinks outside the box, but he almost flawless at what he does. I mean, of course, he would never say that, but he's phenomenal at what he does.
He is.
But the difference between people like CJ and not most, or let's just say some, is that they haven't really been groomed for this next level of success. So for somebody that definitely worked in this industry and groomed somebody to work in this industry, what advice would you give to the parents? Because I'll be honest, I see some parents that have kids that sing or play, and they're like, man, my son is the world's greatest. My daughter's they something else. And then you hear them, you're like,
yeah.
And even like yourself and people like Don, grooming Devin, and just different people like that who have groomed their kids to work on that next level. What advice would you give them?
Well, number one, to keep watering the seed, and in that, it is to be brutally honest with them. Number one, the take, and not necessarily just a take, but one of the things that we've always instilled into CJ was that, don't you ever get to the point that you think, you're the one. Don't you ever get to that point, because you got to realize that if your next door neighbor is looking to also get a spot, so go into it, number one, with the mindset, that hey, this is a gift, you know, and with that, you know, as a parent, you know, we never necessarily use that as a vehicle of a form of punishment as well. You know, and that's not to say that you don't, but you know how sometimes, you know, there are some things where, you know, you threaten your kids. Okay, I'm going to take this away, you know, as a form of punishment, you know, and, we never necessarily did that with him. Although, you know, we, if he ever, I don't want to say necessarily got into anything, in terms of bad behavior, because CJ wasn't necessarily a bad behaving kid, you know, so we didn't find ourselves necessarily having to do that. But we always, you know, like I said, we just made sure that we recognized his gift.
Right.
And in that, we made sure that we nurtured it by getting him some lessons, you know, learning formal playing, you know, knowing how to read as well, you know, because we didn't just want him to be a one-trick pony, you know. So in that, you know, admonishing him also to learn the business, you know. And so with that, you know, as a parent, you know, while you're always trying to give your kid encouragement, at the same time, you know, you do in parenting them into music as well. You know, there's a certain umbrella that you have to serve as a protector, you know, because this music industry and music business is brutal, you know. So always be on the ledge of, you know, their protector, you know. Don't just let them go into any scenario, you know. For instance, there were CJ, he was maybe 17 or so at the time, and it was a certain artist that
I remember
that wanted it, and we wouldn't let him make that connection, you know, and because number one, we knew that the environment wasn't good for him to be around, and then that him being of that particular age as well, you know, we didn't want that to have an influence on it, you know. So having said that, you know, nurture, you know, that gift that you see in them, you know, and at the same time, while you're pushing them into whatever their musical journey is, you know, keep that eye and that ear open, you know, as it relates to what's going on around, you know, because you don't want, you know, again, because you don't want to send your kid into damaging environments. Not just that, but even if there are scenarios where you can also even keep them from being into bad business as well. Right. You know, so with that, teach them, you know, business etiquette, you know, at the same time, you know, because I find that a lot of times, you know, it's not that we fall on the musical side of it, you know, it's because, you know, we have, it's the lack of business, knowledge that we have, you know, that's the demise of whatever success that we don't have. Right. You know, so you know, those are a few pointers I would give.
Great. I got a few more questions and we'll let you go, but right now, I hear a lot of folks. I'm sure you get these calls about, man, I'd love to play on something with you. I need to do this with you. I'd like to do this with you. So my first question is, in 2022, who are you calling and why? I think I pretty much know both of them, but because here's the reason. I mean, here's the reason why I asked that. Not that it's limited to one particular person, right? But once they hear those particular traits, they're going to be like, oh, okay, that's what I need to work towards. So if I come to you with a recording now, who you calling?
So if I'm getting a call today and they want me to bring my own team, so most likely my calls are going to be to of course CJ on drums, and I'm gonna give reasons to why I pick these particular individuals as well. So my reasoning for calling CJ is not necessarily just because he's my son, but one is that I know, number one, that particular part of the element is going to be solid. And because of his approach to the way that he plays drums, he plays, in my assessment of his approach, CJ plays drums from a producer's aspect as well. And when I say that, you can hear him, he plays the song, and not necessarily even just from the musical aspect of it, but he also plays the lyrics of the song on the drums,
Thanks.
And that's not to say that he's the only one that does that, but that's my connection. And then my next call, as it relates to bass, is I have a few guys, but probably one of my first calls is this guy CJ Mercer. Yeah. And CJ Mercer, number one, I love his tone. And I use him for probably even now 90% of my tracks, 95% of my tracks, and rarely, probably 95% of the time, I don't even have to touch doing anything to his track. I may, do a cut here as it relates to EQ or whatnot, just to fit that particular song. But his tracks, they come back exactly what I'm looking for, right, and more, and plus he knows how to approach the particular song, playing tone wise and the whole nine. Then my if I'm going to organ, of course, I love Danny. I love Ira, Noise, Evan Bryce.
Right.
Evan would be my call on organ or aux.
Yes.
Evan is probably one of the coldest aux players out there.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not just putting him in the box of an aux player, because he has a great musical mind as well. But those guys, they just know how to complement, the elements of their lane, and to help elevate that in their production, and even in that, even as it relates to Evan, knowing and understanding spacing and sounds, so guitar wise, guitar would be, of course, Rick Walford. Rick is a legend, and he just knows how to play the song, and not just that though, but he knows how not to clash with the chords as well. So Rick would be one. There's another guy, Johnny Fong.
Another monster.
Johnny. Woo. And Johnny, he's in Nashville now, blowing up, man. He's blowing up. There's this guy, Lawrence Jones.
Yeah.
Lawrence is another one of them. As I said before, Joe Wolford. So guitar side, there's a few guys,
right?
But those are my, those are normally my go-tos. And then I have a few guys, on the horns and strings side. But those are the ones that I would pretty much kind of cater to.
Okay.
And then with that, let me interject this. It's not that I'm not open to other musicians, which I am, but in a lot of those scenarios, I don't have time to build chemistry, you know. Then not only with that, you know, they also bring a certain character, you know, and because a lot of musicians, you got a lot of sweet musicians out here, but their character just don't match, right. You know, and believe it or not, you know, your character comes, I say this all the time, your character comes through the music, you know.
So if you're a cornball in real life, it will come through the chord. I be trying,
yes, sir.
You know, yes, me, sir. You know, I'm borderline, you know, on that edge. So I be trying to tell people that, like, you know, I always tell musicians, because, you know, people that know, I know people like you and other musicians, and I always tell them that the show may be an hour, but it's going to take you about 8 hours to get to the show.
There you go.
You are annoying as hell. But yeah, I said hell. If you're annoying as hell on the way to the show, you definitely will not get the call. And this is something because that crew that you named, you know, I've pretty much been around you in rehearsals and stuff before. And, you know, if somebody on the outside looking in, let me tell you what I've noticed in a Cedric Thompson rehearsal. He's early. He's there before anybody else gets there. I'm thinking I'm beating him there. I'm thinking, no, I get there 45 minutes before. He was set up sitting there waiting. And so what happens is you gain a certain level of respect. Mm-hmm. So and then everybody else, these are great guys. You know, these are great musicians, and they were there early. So when it was time to start, everybody's sitting there waiting. And it wasn't I didn't really get to feel this one out. This. Because honestly, if that's the vibe, you probably won't. You wouldn't be in that room. So that's where that trust comes from, and he knows what they do. And I literally seen y'all just kick off the songs. All right, let's do this one. May stop it. All right, that B, let's change that B. And all right, let's get this and let's run it again. So naturally, when you're running it, it's just really becoming second nature. It's not a thing of like, oh yeah, let me see if I can feel this, you know. And I think that's something that's what I've noticed from being around you and in those rehearsals.
And then having those, and then to your point as well, you know, that's another reason why I pick certain individuals as well, is because I know not only are they going to bring their A game, but I know that they're going to come in knowing the music as well. You know, it's annoying to have to sit with somebody that don't know the music. You know, my thing is, you know, if that's the case, then hey, I'm gonna give another call. Yeah, you know.
yeah, that's really important.
Yeah, because you know that's you're disrespecting yourself. You know, it's an insult to the person that's bringing you in. You know, and at the same time, you know, don't waste my time and don't waste your time. You know, if you're not going to know the music, then stay at the house.
Stay at home.
Yeah.
And this ain't gospel radio, so I can say the A word, but I just won't say it. Say it. No, I'll say it.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So that's amazing, man. So as we end today's podcast, you named those particular guys, and I wanted you to do that for multiple reasons, because I believe in giving people their flowers as well, and just because greatness recognizes greatness. Yes. And as a great producer, you know other great producers. So who are some of the people that folks should be on the lookout for? Like, this person here really got it. They may already be working, but when you say, man, like I know these particular people are really, you know, there's somebody to look out for.
Oh man, I'm gonna tell you, I love Jamel. Todd Delaney's a producer.
Okay.
I love his work, you know, because I could tell that he puts a lot of heart into his productions as well. I love him. Now this one that I'm getting ready to name, I know people may know him, but he's up and coming as well. But he's somebody to really look out for as well. Devon Goodwin.
Devon, yes.
Yeah. He's. He's a. I don't want to say a kept secret, because quite a few people know him, but watch out for him. Watch out for him. Of course, I love Mike Burrell stuff. I love his thing. He has that. You could tell that West Coast influence, but he has so much other influence, in what he does, that he's able to incorporate. That's him, So I love his approach to what he does. I love, of course, he's a legend now, but Asaph, love Asaph, our productions. Philip,
Philip Wright. I'm just kidding.
Yes.
I'm not a producer. I'm just talking.
Yeah. Philip Wright is the one who's the one that whose shoulders we all stand on.
Quartet Records.
Philip, I'm about to jack his last name. Yeah. Love his production. By the way, Phillips, there's Philip Bryan. He's cold. So it's a lot of guys out here, and young ladies as well, that's doing their thing and blowing up,
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So today has been phenomenal, Sid, and definitely I'll have you back on here to do some panels as well to talk about,
hold on. You can't forget CJ.
Oh yeah.
Can't forget CJ and even his team, along with the X-Men. Woo! Now let me tell you, you talking about some guys that have a chemistry.
Yeah.
They blow up.
It's crazy, man. Those guys, X-Men to me are like next level, not even earthly, like from Mars or something. Those guys are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Their chemistry, they get along, the way they play together, and the way
they are so versatile.
You can put them in any situation.
In any situation, and they do it authentically.
You could put them with Harvey Watkins Jr. Or you can put them with Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
That's how wide range it is. That's how wide the range is.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
so that's crazy, man. Again, thank you so much for this. One of our themes here at Phil Wright and Friends podcast is sticking to the plan. You know that I was actually in the beginning stages of this a couple of years ago.
Right.
And I started recording some episodes. I lost my files and I was pissed. And, God has presented me with some new opportunities. But one of the things that I really felt is that, really sticking to the plan. Yeah, that's something that, that's where I'm at right now, sticking to the plan and not wasting any time. There may be somebody today who's listening and, they may be aspiring to be a producer. They may be aspiring to anything in their career or something like that. Because one thing that I've learned is that these steps don't apply just musically, because the stuff even that I've learned from you guys musically, like my mentors, I apply it to the food too.
Yeah.
Good food, good music, preparation, great. My college, I can't throw them in the pot 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I think you had my college one time, but baby, I was nervous, man. Said, if it ain't good, man, I'm gonna tell you it ain't.
I'm gonna tell you. No, listen, y'all, get Feels Right meal. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So
it'll pick you right up.
Man, love it. Yeah, for real.
I love it.
Yeah, man. And see, these things, the journey, they go right along with each other as far as preparation or sticking to the plan. How would you encourage somebody today who may be at a fork in the road or trying to figure out what's next, as far as sticking to the plan? What encouragement would you give them?
Well, number one, I would say it doesn't matter if you get 99 no's. You know, it only take that one yes. You know, and so what you don't want to what you don't want to do is to get to 99 and then you stop. You know, because 100, you know, that 100 time could be the next yes, and then it may be 115. You know, by the time you get to a yes. But number one, you know, I said that, you know, to say not to give up. You know, and also, you know, to be authentically you. You know, you are the best you that you can be. You know, and I'ma equate this to what I experienced in the gospel field. I'm not necessarily gospel field, but music industry. You know, because that's the industry that I work in. You know, a lot of times, you know, I see those being a counterfeit of someone else. You know, and then when it's time to actually bring themselves, you know, to the forefront, they don't know how to, you know, because they've always imitated someone else for so long, you know. And again, that's not to say that you don't be inspired by someone, because all of us, you know, as much as ones that don't want to admit it, all of us, I'm telling you, you know, down to whoever your favorite actor or whoever your favorite a musician, your favorite producer, you know, whoever it is, all of us has been inspired by someone, you know. But learn how to take that and if your inspiration comes from a facet of others, know how to make a gumbo of that and then make that ingredient yours. You know, I would recommend that, and don't be afraid to ask questions, you know, because none of us know it all. You know, none of us know it all. And then even once we're at a point, you know, that we are successful, you still can learn, you know, you still can learn from others, you know, so never get to the point that you can't learn, you know, and educate yourself in whatever it is that you acquire to do, you know, learn that particular business, you know, and because as I said earlier, you know, I find that that's a downfall of so many of us, is that, you know, we didn't really take the time and the necessary time to really learn, you know, not necessarily the art of our craft, but the business of it as well. You know, so don't rid yourself of that.
Wow, this is amazing. Cedric Thompson is one of the most phenomenal, just not even musically, people that I know. We call each other and laugh from time to time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We made and lost money on the Susu boys. Boy, yeah. Man, let me tell you something, man. You know what I'm saying? We foodies. We like a good old. If we in the city, we won't find somewhere that got some good right. Food.
Yeah, Phil is my guy, guys. I love Phil, and I appreciate you, man.
Oh yeah, yes sir, yes sir. For those of you who have questions and show ideas, you can reach us at philwrightfriends@gmail.com. Phil Wright Podcast on Instagram. My personal page is P Wright Music. My food page is Phil Mill, and I also host an amazing live music experience called Cafe Joel Music. We just brought that back, Sid.
Oh, good.
Yeah, man, we're bringing it back in Cafe Joel Music on Instagram as well. Remember, everybody, stick to the plan. Don't lose sight of your dreams. Don't waste any time. All gas, no brakes, and we gonna do it right here on Feel Right and Friends podcast. Feel Right and Friends podcast is brought to you by P. Wright Entertainment. If you have any needs in the music industry, feel free to reach out to us. Book your consultation today for your project, for your book, for your live performances, artist development, and all those amazing things. Make sure you hit us up at P. Wright Entertainment. Thank you guys once again for listening to Feel Right and Friends podcast. Make sure you tune in and you check us out. Next week's episode is going to be amazing. You don't want to miss it.